Hello everybody, I'm Basil Gold and welcome back to another episode of Awareness, the show that exposes it all. Today's show is coming to you live from Sabrina Fair. Now I would like to introduce you to Mr. Jack Herer, who is the author of The Emperor Wears No Clothes. Millions of people have read this book. In fact, one of the categorical things on this book is Mr. Herer offers a $30,000 challenge to anyone who could prove anything he says now to be wrong, and it's right there on the book. Also the book from Germany on hemp, the most read book in Germany on hemp throughout Europe by Mr. Jack Herer. Jack, thank you so much for coming down. I know that you lecture all around the world and you came in today. We've been looking for him for a year. Well, so enjoy what he has to tell you. Listen carefully.
I teach about hemp what we should have learned in school, that hemp was virtually every drop of paper in America and on the whole earth until this century. About 90% of all paper was made from hemp. Sales, all sales, canvas is the Dutch pronunciation of cannabis. Canvas sales were cannabis sales. Canvas-covered wagons were only marijuana-covered wagons. The ropes, the flags, the books, the Bibles, the first American flag that Betsy Ross made was made from hemp. The Declaration of Independence and the Bill of Rights were first drafted on hemp before the 14 copies were made on animal skin, and then they were put back on all the millions of copies after that were made on hemp for the next 120 years. Nobody knows this information. They've taken it out of our school. All the paper, all the fiber, all the cloth, ropes, drapes, curtains, diapers, sheets, everything you can think of was made from hemp. It is the softest cloth on earth. It is the strongest cloth on earth. It is the best cloth on earth, the longest lasting cloth on earth.
And the rope?
And the ropes, oh yes. And ropes were the finest made from hemp. Hemp was totally forgotten, taken out of our education about 70 years ago so that we grew up, not one of us knew that 80 to 90% of everything on this planet for the last 9,000 years was marijuana. Not one person out there probably knows this information, and you should want to know why your government took it out. It is the #1 paper fiber fuel on the whole planet, and always was. And the softest and the best and the strongest and the longest last, and one that can grow forever and never hurt the earth, only makes the earth richer for having grown there. And not a word to us, all these years in school, not a word to us that we even knew this information. And for this, some 10 million Americans have gone to prison for nothing. For absolutely nothing. Without this knowledge, they've gone and have to serve time, some of them 20 and 25, 30 years for doing absolutely nothing. People live longer that smoke marijuana than people that don't do any drugs at all. And you live 8 to 24 years longer than people that use alcohol and tobacco. You gotta be out of your mind not to smoke pot.
Well, we're not going to get into the smoking of hemp. Today we're talking about strictly the other uses, and there are thousands of uses. I wanted to ask you, who made it illegal and why?
It was made illegal ostensibly because blacks and Mexicans, when they would smoke it, would break the old Jim Crow laws. They would actually step on a white person's shadow.
And so who made it illegal then?
Well, the government, they said, hey, you can't have blacks and Mexicans walking around looking white people right in the eye for 3 or more seconds. Under the Jim Crow laws, to look at a white person's eye for more than 3 seconds was jail time. Right then, take down the Justice Peace,
Jack,
put in jail.
Surely there was more. Surely
there was the oil companies. There was the oil companies. DuPont definitely needed to make it illegal. Nylon was billed, the brand new invention in 1937, the same year that hemp came out, was billed as synthetic hemp. We don't need hemp anymore. We've got a good all-American hemp that nobody can get any type of high from. We call it nylon. In fact, nylon is an anagram of the word linen, if you take it apart and pull it back together.
I have heard that the DuPonts, the Gettys, the people who had the plantations in the oil fields saying, we don't want hemp because they were paying the president's elections and all that, and so they won out.
They won out.
And the people lost.
But the people didn't.
Who were growing the hemp, they lost out.
Yes.
And the big DuPonts and Gettys now are getting the money from cutting down their trees and.
But the people didn't lose it because just of the nylon. They lost it because blacks and Mexicans would step on their shadows. That's what the people were taught to believe. What the politicians did was outlaw the #1 plant, the #1 paper, fiber, and fuel source. There's no reason to ever cut down trees.
Oh, they use that as an excuse with the Mexicans and all that sort of thing. Okay. I can understand
All
that.
paper is better made. It lasts 4 to 7 times longer, uses 1/7 the chemicals, leaves the earth healthier for growing there.
How would the American public benefit from legalizing hemp?
There would be no more
So-
fossil fuels. There would be no more ozone depletion. There would be no more greenhouse effect. Theoretically, the whole earth would go back to natural. All plastics would be made from hemp. Henry Ford built a car in 1941 completely out of hemp. There it is. There's Henry Ford and a car completely made out of hemp. The windows, the body, everything except the engine and the frame were made from hemp. And hemp was turned into plastic, and the plastic was a biodegradable, renewable plastic that never poisoned the earth. This is the story. If anybody can prove me wrong, there's $30,000. That hemp is the #1 source of paper fiber fuel. It's greater than all the other annuals on earth combined. And that, listen to that. It's greater than all the other plants that grow on earth combined for paper, for fiber, for fuel, and for protein. The highest use of protein of all the plants on earth. The highest in linoleic acid, which you're going to hear more about in a few seconds when Jillian gets up here. This is the best plant that ever was on the planet Earth. 3 million plants, and hemp is greater than any of them. In fact, greater than all 3 million of them combined. And this we outlawed. This are people rotting in jail. 190,000 Americans are in prison right now. 160,000 more in jail. 1 million on probation for smoking.
We're going to get to that part a little later in the show, on the jailing thing. The uses. Did you know that? I know you didn't know that. I didn't know that. Most people I've spoken to did not know that. Can you explain to us briefly, Jack, all the uses of hemp in technical terms, names, places?
Well, this is canvas, is the Dutch pronunciation of cannabis. This is a hemp linen shirt. These are sneakers, canvas sneakers. Canvas means cannabis. The original term for canvas was only used with cannabis. Canvas sails, canvas sneakers, canvas covered wagons, and those old westerns you see, all those old westerns, you don't know. You sit down there and watch a movie of Captain Hornblower with all the sailing ships, you don't know the sails, the ropes, the flags, the books, the Bibles, the maps, the logs, everything was made from hemp. And you don't know that all the covered wagons were made from hemp. Why don't you know? Because we weren't taught. We were deliberately not taught this information, that 85% of everything on earth was hemp, and not one word to us. That's pretty bad.
There was one other thing I wanted to know about hemp, and the most important thing on that was, I can't quite place something you spoke about, fuel.
Yes, you can turn it into methane, methanol, and catalyze it back into gasoline. Hemp is the only plant that you can grow in every part of the earth, and from the mountains from the mountains to the deserts, from the valleys to the seas.
On the table.
Yes, and it grows the biggest, the best, the healthiest, and the strongest. The healthiest. It's the only plant you can grow over and over again with intelligent rotation and grow more of each year.
And it's the fastest growing plant.
And it brings up the soil from way down and enlivens and enriches the soil. With intelligent rotation, we can grow it forever. You never need fossil fuel again on Earth. It'd be stupid to use fossil fuel. You never have to cut down another tree. There's nothing a tree makes, including building a house, that you couldn't build better or make better paper from than hemp. From building material to paper material from hemp. There's no reason to ever cut down another tree.
Houses from it.
Yes, and
we don't have to cut down no more trees, folks.
And it would last longer, and no bugs, no termites, no nothing ever attacks it. The only thing that attacks it are stupid, ignorant politicians.